Firstly, I'm using the Revu Extreme version. So there's 3 different versions available. There's the standard, the CAD version, the Extreme version. Basically, you just get more features as you go up. The CAD version has a plugin to go into AutoCAD and Revit to help you convert your drawings into PDFs. And the Extreme version has a few sort of extended features like the batch links, quantity link, things like OCR recognition, and automatic form creation. So the way that you can check the version you're using, if you go into Review and About, you can actually see what we're in. So we're in the 64-bit Extreme version. The latest update is 2018.6 as well. So if you are using Review and you haven't updated it, I would recommend it. It fixes some of the bugs that are in there. So in the help menu as well, we have a few different things here. So inside Review, we have the review tutorials, which basically, if we launch them, we have, it's come up on the wrong screen. Sorry, it's not coming up on the right screen for me, but basically we have a few different tutorials of the tools that we can use. So we have markup tools, quantity takeoff, collaborative review, document management, drawing management, and field issues. So you can bring up the short video on how to use the tool and also a sample drawing to work alongside it. So you can learn how to use the tools if you're not sure how to do anything. Sorry, I'm just going to get rid of that. So, just 1 second, sorry. Just gonna have to restart. It's going crazy. Bear with me for 1 second, sorry guys. Here we go, cool. All right, so also alongside that, there's also the keyboard shortcuts guide. So there's a guide on all the different shortcuts you can use to access tools really quickly. There's some more training resources, and also the help menu has some really detailed things on different features. To check for updates, all we do is click the check for updates thing and it will launch a screen. We'll check what version we're on and whether there's an available update. We just have to download it and install it if we need to. Cool. So the interface itself, it's quite simple to use. So on the left-hand side here, we have the panel access bar with all the different panels that we can use with different tools, measurement, things like that. Up here we have the menu bar with drop-down menus for all of the different tools we can use as well. We have some toolbars at the top here and on the right-hand side. And down the bottom we have the navigation bar. So on the navigation bar, there's a few different views we can use. So we can go into a split screen view, so we can put 2 drawings up next to each other. The most important ones though are the one full page and the scrolling page. So if we go into scrolling pages, we can just scroll through the pages we have in our document. But today we're going to use the one full page. So to control the document, with the mouse wheel, we can do quite a lot of stuff. So if we double click the mouse wheel, we'll make the drawing zoom to fit. If we click and hold the mouse wheel, we can pan around the drawing. And if we scroll in and out, it will allow us to zoom in and out on the drawing. Cool. So we can also customize the interface as well so that we can sort of only see what we need to see or add different things in if we use additional tools. So on the left-hand side here, sorry, if we right-click any of these and we click hide, it will take them away. So we can take away the things that we don't need and just leave the things open that we do need. We also have this one here, which looks like a settings table. It's the properties panel. I always click and drag this over to the right-hand side, just because we use that quite regularly, and it makes it a lot easier to find it. Make that a bit smaller. Cool. Whenever we customize things like this, what we can do is create a profile so that it will save through. We can use it again so that we don't have to customize it every single time we open it. So we go into profiles here and manage profiles. Opens up this little panel and click add. We're going to create one for today, so we'll call it getting started with review. We'll click OK. It's going to make that the active profile, and it's going to save everything that we've just customized into this profile. If we click OK, it's going to ask us to potentially save it. No? Cool. And if we go back into review and profiles, we'll see that the getting started with review profile is ticked. There's another part that we can customize as well, so the tool chest here. So it comes with some built-in tool sets with all the different sort of reviews, some symbols, and things like that. We can also create our own tool sets and turn on and off the ones we don't need. So if we go to manage tool sets, we can add in our own one. Also call this getting started with review. Click OK. And it's going to ask us to save it just in the default folder. Click OK and replace that one. Yes. And then hit OK. So now if you scroll down to the bottom of here, we'll see our new tool set is down the bottom. I'm just going to hide the ones that I don't need as well for today. So all of these we'll take out. So now it's a lot cleaner. I'm only going to use these two today, so that's all we'll need. Cool. So getting into markup. So on our drawings, we have a few different tools that we can use. It's built in with some pretty handy tools. So the first one I'll show you is the Cloud Plus. So say we're reviewing this drawing, we're on site and we want to mark a defect in a wall, for example. If we click this little tool here, it's called the Cloud Plus, and we'll bring across to the drawing. My computer's being a little bit slow, sorry. Cool, and then if we just click, hold, and drag, we'll draw a cloud, and then it will ask us to point the call-out word on it, and we're going to just say in our call-out, for example, review cracking this wall. Hit escape, and it becomes part of the markup on the drawing. All of these markups will go in a separate layer on top of the drawing, so it's not actually changing the content of what's in your drawing. We can also customize this however we like. So on the properties panel over here, it's going to bring up the Cloud Plus. We can change the subject of it. We'll say this is a review cloud. We can change the appearance of it, so we can change the color. Say we have a particular person reviewing it and they have a particular color, and then different people have different colors. Like we'll make this one yellow, for example. We can put a fill in it so we can see it a bit better. And if we click highlight, it will also make it transparent so we can see the drawing underneath still. We can change the text color if we want to. We can customize it however we like. Once we've customized it, if we want to use this same tool again with the same properties, but we don't want to redo that every single time, what we can do is right click it and go down to add to tool chest, and we can add it to one of the tool sets that we've got. So we're going to add it to the one we created, so getting started with review, and it will pop up in our tool set on the left hand side. Now we can just reuse this in the exact same way if we want to, or if we right click it, we can go into properties mode, and it will allow us to keep the same properties but redraw it with a different size and a different text. So review corner, for example. Cool, so that's the Cloud Plus tool. Quite often, a lot of people have to add images into their drawing. Say, for example, we've gone out on site and taken a photo of this cracked wall. There's two different ways we can do it. We can either use the image tool or the capture tool. So with the image tool, if we go into tools, markup, and then image, we can see a few different options. So if we're out on site and we've got a tablet, we can actually just take it from a camera and put it straight into the drawing. But today I've got it on file, so we'll use that. And it's going to bring up the file to load from. I've already got them here, so we'll just click the cracked wall image and open, and then we can just draw it where we want to. So we'll put it inside this cloud for the purpose of this. So now we've got the image in the drawing. Now that's really good if we've got one image, but if we've got quite a lot of photos, it's going to start crowding the drawing. We're not going to be able to see what's going on in there. So that's where the capture tool comes in handy. So when we've drawn a cloud, if we right click the cloud and go down to capture, we can either do this one from camera or file as well. This will allow us to add multiple images in without putting them crowding up the drawing. So we'll add both of these and click open. And what it's going to do is add it in a little icon that looks like this. If we click into this icon, it will bring up a little box with our photos in there, and we can scroll through the photos without them crowding up the drawing. You can put as many photos as you want in there. It doesn't have a limit on how many. Obviously, the more you put in there, the bigger your file size is going to get as well. Cool, so that's the two image tools that we've got. Quite often, we have like symbols in our drawings, or say pieces of furniture that we need to reuse again and again. We need to place more of. So for example, I've got this chair in this drawing. So what we can use is the snapshot tool. If we go to edit and then snapshot, we just have to click and drag a box around what we want to snapshot, and it's basically going to copy that. And then if we just paste it, it's going to add it into the drawing. We can customize this, so we can change the color of it, for example. So we right click it, and we go to change colors. And you can just set the source color to black, and we're going to change it to red. And what it's going to do is change the color of the new one to red. We can also rotate it if we want to. We can do whatever we want to it. So we can also add this to the tool chest. And so if we right click it and go to the add to tool chest, so we want to reuse this again in other drawings, putting in our getting started with review, and now it's going to appear in there. You can just click it and we can use that whenever we want to. So that's the snapshot tool. We can also create our own symbols. So Review has some built-in basic drawing tools. It's not designed to CAD draw, but we can draw like symbols and we can add them again. So we'll draw a symbol for a light fitting today, for example. So if we click the ellipse tool down here on the drawing toolbar, and then we hold shift, we can draw a perfect circle. Just hold, click and drag. We've got our circle, and we've got a line tool as well. And we'll just draw a line, again, if we hold shift. Now, right here, obviously, we can see it's not snapping to our markup. So what we can do is in the tools here, we go to toolbars, we can turn on the status bar. That's going to bring up another bar down the bottom. What we've got is the snap to settings here. So we've got snap to grid, we can turn the grid on. We've got our snap to content and snap to markup. So to do this, we're going to snap to the markup. And now we can see it snapping to what we've just drawn. So again, if we hold shift, click and drag, we draw a line, a straight line. And we've now got our symbol. At the moment though, we've got two separate parts. So we can see this is one and this is one. Yeah. Cool. So what we can do is select them. So down in the navigation bar, we've got a few different options of how we can control our cursor. So if we go select, and then again, we just click and drag a box around these two, it's going to highlight both of them. And then what we can do is right click them and go group. Now we've got one symbol. We can also then add this to the tool chest again, because we're going to reuse this over and over again, obviously. So now it appears in here and we can reuse it. So what we're doing here is we're building a library of the things we do regularly. So we don't have to sort of draw things every time. That's going to save us a lot of time. So there's also obviously the built-in symbols here. There's some other sets, but we can obviously use those the same if we want to. So we can just add them in. We can change the size of them after if we need to too. If we just use some of these symbols and we don't want this whole tool set to appear, we can actually just click and drag them into our own tool set as well, and then they'll save in there. It's really important every time we customize something as well to go in and save the profile, because otherwise it's not going to save and we won't keep our changes together. Cool, so that's the basic markup tools. Now I'll go on and show you a little bit about measurement. So with this drawing, what we've got is, we don't have a scale on it, but we've got a measurement on this one. Should be able to see in a second. Cool, so we've got a measurement on this wall here. So we know that's 3282 millimeters. So if we click down to the measurements tab, what we can see is a tool that says calibrate. So if we click calibrate, it's going to ask us to draw a line. So we're just going to draw it from this point to this point, matching up what our measurement is. And it's going to ask us what the measurement there is. So we'll put in 3282. We'll store the scale in the page, and then if we send this drawing to someone else, that scale will stay in there for when they do their own measurements. We'll click OK. And now the drawing is calibrated. We can test it just by doing a length measurement. We'll do it just between these 2 points. And it should, oh, I just missed the point, but it shows us that it's 3282. So we know that that's calibrated properly. When we're doing measurements now though, we're going to turn off the snap to markup so that obviously we're snapping to the drawing only and not what we've already put on there. So we have a few different measurement tools we can use. We've got length, we've got area, we've got poly length, we've got diameter, angles, radius, and then if we click this, there's a few more as well. So we've got a volume tool, a count tool, a cutout so that we can cut out parts of what we're doing, and a dynamic fill. So we'll start with an area measurement. So if we click area, we can also change the subject and the label of it so that we know what we're doing. So for example, today we're going to be measuring the carpet area of each room. So we've got the subject as carpet, and we've got different types of carpet that we use for different rooms. So this one, we'll call it type A. So when we do the same thing, so we just click, hold, and drag over here, over the whole room, and it's going to measure that area for us. Right now it's come up in square millimeters, so it's going to come up with a huge number and be pretty annoying on our drawing. So we can actually change the independent units. Up here there's a box that says independent units, we just have to check that, and these will appear. And we can change the area unit to square meters, we can change the volume unit to square cubic meters as well. We can also change the precision of how many decimal places it'll go to. So now what we'll see is it updating on the drawing. If we hold shift and click over this title, we can actually drag it to move it to. We can see it's put up 16.12 square meters. This room has a pillar in the corner here. So what we can do is use the polygon cutout tool to get rid of that in the area. So it's only showing us the area of what's actually in there. So we click polygon cutout. Same thing, we just click, hold, and drag. And it's going to cut that part out for us. Now we can see it's changed that area measurement to just be 15.75 square meters. So we can also customize these as well. So we can, if we click into this, it's going to bring up the properties tab. We can change the color of it. We could put a fill color in it if we want. So we'll make this one yellow. And we'll put a fill color of yellow as well. And then we can highlight it so we can see the name of the room still. Cool. Also in here, so we have different options. We can show the segment values, which will show up the lengths of the sides. It's also showing us all the cutout parts as well. In here as well, we have a thing called show caption. So we click edit. We can put in, say, the volume. The way we get the volume is by setting the depth. So in this measurement side over here, if we change this depth to, let's say, just 2,400, it's going to set that volume so that now this should update. We can also show the depth of what we've done. So in here, we could show the wall area as well if we want to. We can show a few different things there. So again, if we click shift, hold shift, click and drag this title, we can now see it nice and easily. If we want to use this again, we can also save it to the tool chest as well, but we'll come back to that a little bit later. So That's really good when we just have square rooms, just using that area tool. But when we have a room like this one, for example, we've obviously got a bit different shape. It's much harder. We can either just click along this line to get all the small points so we get a curve. But in Revu, we have what's called the dynamic fill tool. So first I'm just going to calibrate this drawing because its scale is a little bit different. It's the same drawing, so we know that this measurement is 3282. So we're going to calibrate it to that. Same here, 3282. We're going to store the scale in the page. Okay. And now we've got our drawing calibrated. So in this room, what we're going to use is the dynamic fill tool. So in this little drop down, this one at the end, it's called the dynamic fill. It's going to bring up a toolbar at the top here. So first, obviously, we've got an opening in this room. So we need to add a boundary to it so our fill can't go outside of it. We can change the size of this boundary if you want to make it a bit smaller as well. We can change the fill size as well and the fill speed. Let me just click out of that again. So we're just going to draw the boundary from this end of the room to this end. We're going to hit enter and we'll add that boundary. Now if we go back to the toolbar and click this fill painter, and then all we need to do is click and hold and it's going to fill up the room. If we go over the top of these enclosed lines, it will go into them as well. Once that's finished, we've got the whole room filled. We'll just go up and we'll click the area tool and then apply. And it's going to give us the area of this room. And again, we can just hold shift and move that up here so we can see it a bit better. And we can see we've got that measurement. With this, obviously with the boundary, it's made it a little bit outside of it. So we can just click these points and drag them down to match up where the room actually finishes. Cool, so that's the dynamic fill tool. It can save you a lot of time. You can also use it to measure like a lot of rooms at once. We could do it with square rooms as well, and we could just fill them all and then do the area and apply, and it would make it a lot quicker than measuring them all out ourselves. So everything that we've done now will come up in what's called the markup list. So down here, if we click and drag this up, we have what's called the markup list. So everything that we've done in the drawing is actually tracked down here. So we have our area measurements, we have our carpet that we've labeled with our subject. We have our review clouds, we have our snapshot. We can order it by the subject, we could order it by the date. We've got different dates that they've been created, or we could order it by the author if we have different people that have done the markups. We can also add in other columns. So we could add in the depth or the creation date. We can add in a whole heap of different things. We can also turn off things if we don't want to see them as well. Let's say we don't want to see the responsibility or the subtotal, so we can turn all those off. We can also filter these so we can only see what markups we want to on the drawing. So say we just want to see our snapshots. All we'd have to do is click this little funnel looking thing on the subject and go down to snapshot, click that, and now all we will see on the drawing is our snapshots that we put in there. So that's the markup list. We can also generate some reports of this. Just turn the filters off. If we click on this little 3 lines tab here, it's the summary. We can export a CSV summary to Excel. We can export a PDF summary, which will hyperlink the different markups to where they are in the drawing as well, and have a report of all the columns that we've got in there. We can print it out if we want to. So yeah, I'm not going to do that now because it does take a minute or so to generate it, but that can be quite handy. You can use the Excel sheet to then estimate off if you don't have already made up templates. You can put in your formulas into columns here, so we can actually create custom columns as well, which will make that a lot easier. So that's the markups list. Now I'm going to show you the quantity link. So in Revu, this is only in the extreme version. So what we can do, so say we have an Excel spreadsheet like this one. So we've already got it pre-set up with our formulas, with our cost of each different type of carpet. all we need to do is then put in the area, and then it will generate our cost for us. So if we go back into review, let's do a couple of area measurements. So we'll do it in here. So we'll click the area. We're going to do type A first. Click, hold, and drag across here. So we've already got type A in our label. We're going to customize this to look a little bit different. So we'll make this one yellow as well, like we did at the start. Highlight it. Then what we're going to do is save this to the tool chest so that we can reuse this as our type A whenever we want to. Add to tool chest and getting started with review. So now it's going to come up in here. We're going to double click this to make it go into properties mode so that when we redraw it, it's going to keep the same color, but we can use different measurements. So now we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to do it with type B. So in here, if we change this to type B, and then we hit area, we're going to do it over the office this time. And we've got type B. So we'll customize this one as well. We'll make it, let's say, blue. And then we're going to add this one to the tool chest as well. So add to tool chest, getting started with review. We'll put this in properties mode too. Now what we're going to do is save the drawing. So we'll go to save as. Cool, so save it as, we're just going to save it as a different title. Combine file 2. Now we're going to go back into our Excel spreadsheet. So if we right click the field we want to bring the measurement into, so we'll go type A first, and we go to quantity link and create. And then we hit add. It's going to ask us to add the files in that we want to use. So we're going to link it to our combined file 2 with the measurements in it. This is why it's important to save it first, otherwise it's not going to bring across our measurements properly. Click open, and it's going to bring it into here. And we click OK. Now it's going to bring up another pop-up. So first it's going to ask us what we want the measurement of. So we're going to say the area, and we're going to go of. So we can either do it by subject if we've just put it all in the subject, or we can do it by label. So we want type A for this one. And then we're just going to hit OK. And it's going to bring across the type A carpet measurements into here. We can do the same with type B. Right click, quantity link in create. And then measurement of area. Because we already added in the file, we don't need to do that again. And we're just going to select type B and OK. Now it's going to bring across all of our type B measurements. So when we do this, it's also going to update live. So I'm just going to bring these up next to each other just to show you this. So you can see on here we've got our type A and type B. So we're going to click our type A carpet from the tool chest, and we're just going to redraw it in a random spot. If you watch the numbers on the right hand side on the spreadsheet, you can see them going up as I'm adding these in. And it will do the same when we use type B as well. So it's a foolproof way of adding up our measurements without them having any human error in our calculations or anything like that. And you can see it's already calculating the cost of what we need for everything as well. So that's the quantity link. It's only available in the extreme version. So if that's something you do require and you don't have the extreme version, let us know and we can work out how we can upgrade it for you. Cool, so I'm just going to go back to my drawing now. So next thing I want to show you is how to compare different things. So in my file here, I've got two different drawings. We've got two revisions. So we've got revision 1 of a drawing and we've got revision 2 here. So first what I'm going to do is extract these into a separate thing. So I'm just going to click the top one, hold shift and click the bottom one, and it will select those two sheets of this file. And then if we right click it and we go to extract pages, it's going to extract them into separate files. If we tick that, we can delete the pages after we do if we want, but I'm not going to today. And we'll click OK. So now it's going to extract them. We'll put them into the folder I've been using. And now it's going to extract them into separate files. We're just going to close the drawing file that we have been using as well. You'll understand why in a second. So basically we only want the two drawings that we're going to be comparing open. Once that closes, it decides to load. The computer is being very slow at the moment. Save that. Cool. So now we've got our two revisions open. Under document up here, we have two different tools that we can use to compare documents. So we have the compare documents and we have the overlay. Sorry, it's just taking a couple of seconds to load. Hopefully it will catch up with me in a second. Cool. So the two different things, the comparison and the overlay. Comparison will basically compare what's different and put clouds around what's different in revision 2 to revision 1. The overlay will put them over the top of each other in different colors so that we can see the differences in different colors. So under document here, we've got compare documents, and it's going to automatically select the two drawings that we've got open. So that's why I closed the original document, just so that we only had those two open. And if I click into here, you can see that's revision 1, and this one is revision 2. So we want document B to be the second one, and document A to be the first one. If we hit OK, what it's going to do is open revision 2 with the differences clouded, with revision 1 on the other side, so we can compare what's been different. It's going to take a second to load it. So what it's doing is just processing what's different in there for us. So we don't have to manually go through and look, which would often miss different parts of it. So this is obviously really handy when we have different revisions from, say, our architect, and we want to see what they've added or what they've taken out. So you can see now it's brought up revision 1 on the right-hand side and revision 2 with the differences clouded on the left-hand side. If we scroll in and zoom on either one of them, it will synchronize and it will zoom on both sides. So you can see it zooming on both sides so that we can just go in and see what's different. We can see that obviously these parts have been added in revision 2 that weren't there in revision 1, and these lines that were here in revision 1 are not there in revision 2. So that's the compare documents tool. The other one is the overlay pages. So under document again, we've got overlay pages here. So again, it's going to bring up this little tool thing. We're just going to move that up. And so we've got revision 1 and revision 2. We can change the colors if we want to. We recommend using red and green, particularly if you've only got two. just because when they overlay on top of each other, they will become black. But we can add in more documents and have more colors as well. We click OK. So now it's literally just going to overlay the two drawings on top of each other. So we'll be able to see what's on one of them in red that's not on the other, and what's on the other one that's not in the other on green. So I'm just going to bring this back into a single view. So we can see what's in revision 2 that wasn't in revision 1 is in red, what's in revision 1 that wasn't in revision 2 is in green, and everything that is the same is black basically. In the layers panel on this side, we can also turn on and off the separate ones. So if we just want to see revision 1, it's just going to show us revision 1. And if we just want to see revision 2, it's going to show us just revision 2. So that's the overlay feature. All of these, this will come in the standard version. The only feature that I've shown you so far that's only in the extreme version is the quantity link. So now I'm going to go on to the studio. So Bluebeam comes built in with Bluebeam Studio. It's on all versions of Revu. Even if you've got the free version, you can still use the Studio. You just can't create your own sessions and your own projects. So there's two parts to it. We have what's called Studio Projects and Studio Sessions. I'm just going to sign in quickly whilst I do this. I'll explain it all. So the Studio Projects is a basic document management system. So we can add in as many files as we want. We can add in any file types that we want. They can be as big as they need, have as many people come into the project as we need. We can set different permissions for what people can access, whether they can print things, whether they can check out drawings. So yeah, that's the projects basically. And then Studio Sessions is our collaboration tool. So when we open a session, we can invite our project partners into the session, and we can basically collaboratively review a particular drawing or file together. So we could be across the country, in different countries, and do it. We have one person out on site reviewing the drawing on site and sending it back to the architect in the office. So yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to create a session. So we're just going to click into the Sessions tab. If we hit this little plus and go to New Session, we're going to call this Getting Started with Revu. I'm going to add a file. So we'll add that combined file in again and click Open. We can set different permissions for what people can do in the session. So we can have them save as, we can have them print, markup. We'll let them add documents as well. We can restrict the attendees by email address. So that means that only the people that we've invited can come into the session. Otherwise, if we don't click that, we can just share the session ID with them and they can put that in and join in through there. So we'll leave it restricted by email addresses for today. We can also set an expiry date on the session if we want as well. So we click OK. It's going to generate the session for us. And then what we can do is invite our partners into it so they can actually draw on the drawing and we can see it live. So it's just going to take a second to create the session for us. So all of this will be hosted on the cloud as well. So it can be accessed anywhere. So now we've got a session, which is pretty cool. So here what we can do is invite attendees. It's going to bring this up automatically. So we're going to invite a couple of people into here. Invite Geraldine in. Okay. We'll also invite Ty. Hang on, so someone's just tried to join in. We can see Geraldine's just tried to join in. So we can just click OK and allow, and it will allow her to join in. We can invite Ty as well. See if he wants to come in. Ooh, we've got another one. Okay, so Ty was too quick and got there before me. We'll click allow and OK. And we'll just cancel doing this and we'll hit OK. Cool. So now we've got our attendees up here. So we've got myself, Geraldine, and Ty in here. They can now put markups on this drawing and we'll be able to see it all live. So we're just going to open up the file that we put in here. The way we know that we're in the session drawing is by this little icon next to our file. So we can see this is just in our review and this document here is in the session. So you can see on the little record down here, we've got a record of what's going on in here. So Geraldine's added a call out, Ty added a call out, he edited it. What we can do is actually follow where they are as well. So if you right click Ty, we can follow him so we can see what he's doing on the drawings. So we can see he's just added an image, he's put a cloud around the image, he's now putting a call out, and all this is happening live. So we could do this across the country, and it just saves us having to mark up a drawing and send it off to someone for them to then review. You can just do it all at once. We can also chat to each other in this record. So we can say, hi Ty, please review the meeting room if we want you to do something specific. And then he could reply back and say, no problem. And we also have a record of all this happening. So yeah, so that's pretty much the studio sessions. Obviously with the different permissions, we could stop them from doing certain things, like we don't want Geraldine to mark up the drawing, we just want her to watch, we could stop her from doing that. We can also generate a report once we've finished all of this. So in this little button here, it says report. And we can generate a report of all of this summary of what everyone's doing. So it's going to come up as a record summary. It's going to call it getting started with review. And we'll click OK. And it's just going to ask us to save it. So we'll save it in here. And it's going to print out a report for us of everything that's happened in the session so far. We can also do this when we end the session, and it will do it automatically for us. So we've gone back to the drawing because we're following Ty, so we can see what he's doing again. So yeah, that's the studio sessions basically. And that's pretty much it for today. So what we're going to do, someone's just opened up a project. So Ty's just opened up, put in another document into the project. So we allowed everyone to add documents. So now we can see this 3D PDF as well. We can have a bit of a scroll around it, have a bit of a look. We can put markups on this as well. So I can put them on myself. We can see what others have been doing. We can add our own. View this spot. Change the size of it. And then if we hit this little X, it's going to take us out of the view. If we click back into this little circle, it'll take us back into the view of where we put the markups. So yeah, that's the studio sessions, guys. So when we've finished it, if we want to finish the session, all we have to do is up here, click finish session. We can generate a report through here as well, but we've already done that, so we're not going to do that. We can save the files if we want to. We're not going to save the files today. And then you can choose what markups you want to include. So if Geraldine has done some markups that we don't particularly like, we can stop her markups from being on there. And then yeah, we can make sure to include everyone's usually, and then we just hit OK, and it's going to finish the session. And it's just going to finish it, and it will kick everyone else out of it as well. Cool. So that's the studio sessions, guys. That's pretty much it for today. So we've gone through basically the interface, creating markups, a bit of measurement, working with the markups list, quantity link, comparison, and studio. So that should help get started with review. We do have a little bit of time for some questions. So in the chat box, if anyone has any questions and would like to ask, then feel free. Any questions, anyone? Doesn't look like we've got any questions, guys. So yeah, thank you very much for attending the webinar. If you have any questions following up, feel free to email me. I think we're going to send out an email to everyone that's attended as well. And yeah, feel free to reach out if you have any questions following up. But yeah, thank you very much, guys.